Howdy YouTube, today we're taking a look at one of my favourite figures, one of my favourite characters, the Separatist Forces Bounty Hunter from the Clone Wars. We're looking at Durge. Anyone who watched the 2003 Star Wars Clone Wars cartoon will know this guy was freaking awesome. He made some great appearances in the comics, which I'm not sure if they've erased him from history or not now with the purchase by Disney. I'm hoping that he is still around. The main reason I'm really happy I got this guy is because he is a realistic version of the character. They did release quite a few comic-y themed versions of him, which I was never a big fan of. They did release, I think, two variants of Durge. There is the version that's here, and there is another version as well where he's got some bits mainly around the arms painted in a skin tone color, which I was never a big fan of, and the paint on that has actually turned really crappy. So that's why I'm reviewing this guy for you. It does say he comes with his swoop bike. Great scene in the Clone Wars. We've got Obi-Wan in his clone trooper gear with the javelins going up against Durge and the Lancer droids, these guys. And it's a really great episode. Really cool character. Very excited to get this guy opened up out of packaging and hopefully give you guys a cool review. And taking a look at the back, other figures in the set, we've got Clone Trooper with Speeder Bike, we've got the Droid Army, and we've got the Jedi Knight Army. Pretty cool. The read-ups on the back say, the Clone Wars has begun on the remote planet of Geonosis. The conflict between the Republic and its foes explodes. Jedi Knights lead a massive clone army in a battle of 100 planets. The Separatists, led by the dark forces of the Sith, fight back with their own formidable droid armies. As the conflict rips across the galaxy, Anakin, Padme, and Obi-Wan are swept into turmoil of war and the rising shadow of the dark side. My bad there. The read-up on Durge says, Clone Wars, Durge with swoop bike. A century before the Clone Wars, this 2,000-year-old bounty hunter went into hibernation to recuperate after being tortured by Mandalorians. That's kind of cool. Awakening shortly after the Battle of Geonosis, Durge learns that the only Mandalorians still alive are the clone troopers, which were created from the Mandalorian Jango Fett. Durge joins the Confederacy to enact his revenge upon Jango Fett's clones. His swoop bike is a high-performance craft with exceptional speed and challenges even the most skilled pilots. Simple vehicles, they achieve performance through a combination of repulsor and turbo-thrust engines. Wow, that was a mouthful, but also a really cool read-up. So let's get Durge opened up. Just before I do that, hopefully you guys can see the variant I was talking about with the skin tone paint around the arms there. Okay, and here we have Durge opened up and out of packaging. And man, this guy is actually one of my favourite Star Wars figures of all time. Never thought he would actually be this freaking awesome. I'll bring it forward so you guys can see. Hopefully you get a good look at the level of detail. Now keep in mind, this figure is over 10 years old. It's over a decade old, and it completely shits on pretty much all the modern Star Wars figures that we get today, excluding the Black Series stuff. Now, I'll bring it forward so you guys can take a look at the menacing face. I love that. I think it's a really cool helmet. Very old school too. At the back sort of reminds me a little bit like a samurai type design. Quite cool. Moving down, there's just lots of detail, and for an old figure, it's something that you don't get a lot of. It's kind of cool, like an old school Mandalorian type symbol. Moving down, there's a lot of detail on this guy, a lot of articulation too, which is fantastic. I love that he's kind of cybernetically enhanced, a little bit like General Grievous. You see all these little tubes and parts there. Taking a look at the back as well. Very nice indeed. Okay, now in terms of articulation, he's got a ball-jointed head, ball-jointed arms, ball-jointed elbows, ball-jointed wrists, ball-jointed torso. He's got a swivel in the legs, ball-jointed knees, and ball-jointed knees, and then nothing in the ankles, which is a little bit of a shame, but not really, if I'm honest. I think he's that awesome that it does not matter. Now, he does come with a lot of accessories. Obviously, he's got the two pistols, which initially I thought were the same. They're actually, hopefully you guys can see, They're completely different. So that's very handy. And he does come with 2 holsters as well to put them in. So I think that is something that is really sick. Now he also comes with a really nicely detailed jetpack, which literally just pegs in on the back there. And those that have seen the show will remember the scene where he flies in and takes battle against Obi-Wan Kenobi and the ARC Troopers. So that's a really nice accessory. He also does come with this kind of cool machine gun looking blaster rifle, which has a lot of nice detail on it. It's a shame that the paint, it's just the one paint color, but having said that, it looks bloody cool. Now here we've got the speeder bike that Durge comes with. It is a really cool looking speeder bike. I love the 2 machine guns on the front. They look almost like old school Tommy guns. Love that. I think it's fantastic. It's got this green paint scheme, which I'm not the biggest fan of green, if I'm honest, but I love the white and red. It reminds me of like an old World War II paint scheme for some reason. Yeah, really nice. There is some spots to peg some stuff in. But a very cool speeder. It is in 2 separate parts. This front section here literally just pegs on there. Seems pretty stable. Nice. So overall, I'm a huge fan of this figure. I think it is one of the best Star Wars figures ever made. Tons of articulation, tons of detail, really cool accessory. If you can find this guy, I think it's well worth picking up. I was able to pick him up for around $30. If you can find him for that price, cheaper, or even a little bit more, I think he is well worth it. I'm just cannot tell you how happy I am with this figure. 100% one of my favourite Star Wars figures of all time. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this review on the Star Wars Clone Wars Durge.